Greetings, fellow humans. Welcome to another episode of Doing the Thing with your host, me, Scott. And today on the show is one of my friends, Sidney. Sidney and I met at a place in Colorado called Estes Park. We met there. We created our bond there. He is one of the few people who I've ever got to come to where I was going. And so I went out to Breckenridge Ski Resort and he followed me. We did different things. We lived together. We made sure that we had the cleanest apartment we could possibly have. And I think that we probably did as best as we could, even though he probably was annoyed about 25% of the time about it. Welcome, Sidney.
I do remember, Scott, literally our beds being an L shape in this tiny little room. I do remember that. Your feet were where my head was. Do you remember that?
I thought our beds are not in an L shape. I do remember it was super tiny. So it was like,
Oh, it was so tiny. It was a tight fit.
one of us would get out, and if you didn't get out perfectly in a normal everyday fashion, if you slipped at all, you just end up in your buddy's bed.
Oh, man. It was pretty insane back then, but it was a worth experience. I definitely will always remember snowboarding in Breckenridge.
It was so funny because there's four of us in this place, which thank God we didn't have a bigger place. There was one guy in there who was a snowboarder. And then you had been thinking about it. And then it was myself and our other roommate who didn't know. And then he was going to do snowboarding. And then I was like, well, if everybody else is doing this, I'm going to do this.
It wasn't until this winter that I've discovered how challenging Breckenridge is for snowboarders. It's a challenging place to traverse. Let's say you're wanting to go from peak 8 over to peak 6. You got to traverse this catwalk. If you don't get enough speed, you're kind of stuck. We got really good at snowboarding really fast because we had to figure out how to keep speed and go through these catwalks. That's one of the reasons why I'm more into skiing, because when I'm into these long flat sections, I can actually propel myself forward.
Sidney, tell us, how did you get into the outdoors? What's your story?
I don't even know if I shared this with you when I first met you back in Estes, but I got into it through work servicing in college. My college provided a lot of work opportunities to help fund school in general, or fund food or survival while attending school. One of the jobs was Barry's Outdoor Leadership Development, or BOLD, the acronym. And it's like high ropes course team building job. And I really got involved in education and the outdoor field of work through that. I enjoyed it so much. It was just a blast hanging out with like people, being goofy outside, doing these amazing team building activities, and or getting up high on these obstacle courses or zip lining. They all had that on my campus. And that was just a great job opportunity. And I fell in love with it and just wanted to continue doing that after school, even though my degree was entirely different than what I was interested in. So my first job right after school, literally a day after getting home, packing, I left for Colorado and went to Estes Park and met you and worked where you worked. Yeah. Since then, I've always been doing some type of job that allowed the opportunity to be involved in the outdoors or live near a place that had a lot of outdoor activities. I would say college and that one job that I had. But I've always, being young, enjoyed being outside and enjoyed nature. Always preferred playing outside than being inside or playing video games or sitting on the computer. I prefer being outside and active. Yeah.
What was it that got you into high ropes job specifically?
I did several other jobs at that school in college. I was auto mechanic. I was a grounds crew person. I even call for I found this job and I applied for it times and finally was hired because it seemed to be the most fun and the most active. So that's what got me into it. I was like, hey, I love the outdoors. I love hiking. I'm a part of this club at school that involves hiking and exploration. I think you should take me and hire me. Eventually they did, and yeah, it worked out. I didn't work there for long. I think it was like my junior year and into my senior year of college that I worked for Bold. Yeah.
Super cool. I wish that my college had that, but we did not have any of that, at least to my knowledge anyway.
Well, an interesting fact on why they have this is my college is 27,000 some odd acres of land. It's huge. It's one of the world's largest colleges by land mass. So not only do we have like a main campus with several thousand acres, but you have a 3 mile drive up north towards a mountain range, and that's also a campus. And then on the campus, we had this full high ropes course. Like you can imagine what it was like in Estes where we were working, about the same size like course, but on my campus. Yeah. It was a beautiful place.
That's super cool, and I did not know that. I did not.
Yeah.
Seasonal work, man. Everybody just gets there, and then you just are like, "Hey, where are you from? Okay, now we're doing this thing." For Estes, it was like reason that everybody was there was so that they could go play in the park.
Yeah, there's a reason why I was there, to go hiking, go on adventures. Oh yeah.
Do you have any specific adventures that you would like to share that were really awesome that stood out to you?
In Estes or in college or just in general?
Well, I was thinking specifically in Estes, but just in general, you can share if there's one that.
Okay, I'll try to do both. So let's say specific memories for the time that you and I were working there. Okay, it's a good one. I don't even know if you remember this story, or maybe if it was during the time in which we were both working there. There's so much now and like gets entangled, you know how it is. But did I ever share with you my Maroon Bell experience?
Yes, I did hear about this. That's the one that I'm thinking about.
Did I share that one?
Yeah, you should share that
Okay.
one.
Okay. While in Estes, you meet a lot of people to go on hikes with and adventures with. And one gentleman I met and went on a couple of hikes with, and funny enough, he was at the time a hike master. So he guided hiking trips for people that were staying in Estes Park. And so I regarded him as a very experienced hiker and a very experienced guide. And one day he's like me, hey, how do you feel about doing the Maroon Bells with me? We can get these days off and we can do this. And I'm young and adventurous, and I'm like, dude, I'm totally down. The Maroon Bells are the pretty mountain range, or two mountains. So like it was June 25th of 2018. Both of us went in my car and took the 6 hour drive all the way to Aspen to hike the Maroon Bells. Our initial plan was to hike South Maroon Bell, do the traverse to North Maroon Bell, and then back down. And then get to the car, drive back home, and do work the next day. Hike Master, unfortunately, didn't have driver's license, so couldn't drive. So I did all the driving. So drove 6 hours in my like Acura all the way to Aspen, got there late in the evening, set up a tent. He was in a hammock, I believe, slept a little bit, woke up at 4, started the hike. And what's amazing is at this time, we didn't pay for a permit, we didn't pay for parking. So at 4 in the morning, we start a hike, we get up to Crater Lake, take some photos, absolutely gorgeous, continue hiking, find a turn off point from the trail, like straight up onto the ridge, and just like just grass and just complete vertical, just continuing doing. So we hike up this ridge or side of the mountain, then we reach the ridge, and then once at the ridge, we kind of go over to the other side and are hiking along just literally rock face and scree and loose rock, and it's ledges too. And it's incredibly beautiful, Scott. Like coloration is different, and I will always remember just how beautiful it was there. And we got into like 4 hiking, going up chimneys, doing a little bit of scrambling. And the summit is literally just, I don't know, 14 feet long, 5 feet wide. The summit was incredible. And afterwards, we tried to do the traverse and got into some sketchy situations of passing through snow gullies that were way too steep. And I didn't have any micro spikes. And eventually, we got to the point where like we were hiking way too far down on the other side of North Maroon Bell and going the wrong way and losing our route. And we backtracked and decided to just head back up the way we came and head back home the exact way we came. We actually ended up re-summiting and then backtracking along the ridge line. And then it ended up being dark. Time like needed to get down fast because we didn't want to be in the dark on top of this pretty dangerous mountain to go hiking on. So we passed one of the snow gullies on the side of the mountain, which the trail is on, and which we can also see where we parked the car. We can see Crater Lake and other tents. And the guy that I was hiking with, this hike master, I'd like to say, I'm a little still holding the grudge about the situation that we were going through because, like, why don't we go down the snow gully to speed up our process to get down this mountain and get back to the car before it's completely dark? I'm clearly remember, I don't know about this plan. I don't think it's the best idea. I think we should continue hiking the exact route that we came. And obviously, like, the exact route wasn't exact because there's so many social Karens placed all over the place and we cut exactly which way. But this guy was very good at persuasion and pressuring. And I ended up agreeing to going down this. And this snow slope was steep, the snow gully. And he had micro spikes, fortunately enough. We both had helmets as well. It was highly recommended to wear helmets on this type of hike. As he hikes down, he actually also slips and slides down. And I clearly remember him like out of control, hitting his head a little bit. Fortunately enough, he had the helmet on. And then finally he stops right at the top of a scree field. Then I start going. I lose my footing. I slide down and I fall in between like big rock face and like snow melt. It was like a 4 foot deep fall into the rock face and the snow melt. I fell in and I cut myself up, and I still have like scar on my side from where a rock hit me. And that like me out. I was like, oh, cussing and freaking out. And the guy that I was hiking was like, "Are you right?" I climb out and I make my way down to where he is on the scree field because scree field will be a little bit more traction than just the snow, obviously. And yeah, I wasn't hurt, but I was definitely worried about whether or not I broke a rib because it really hurt on my side. But continued on because we needed to get down and it was all starting to get dark. I remember us getting into situations where we got into these like ledges, but with huge like foot drops, and then like a ledge and another 20-foot drop. And we're like to our left and right, and we don't know what to do. Like, how do we get down this safely? How do we get down this mountain? And the guy I was hiking with was starting to panic and freaking out, yelling and calling for help. There's no medical emergency. Like, SOS, not available. No signal, nothing. And like now to the tents down below, they can't hear you're like feet in elevation. And he's freaking out. And I'm like, they're like, we can't do anything except get off this mountain. We got to continue. So like find another snow gully, but this one was pitted out by a waterfall. Like the snow, the water was running, and it was kind of like a slide. So we literally go down the slide and literally slide on our butts down the snow gully. So we were doing that a
Right.
lot. And I remember telling him, rock! It's like the size of my head start coming down, and they're like through his legs as we're sliding down this snow gully. So we do that for a while, and we got some pretty good distance. And then it dissipated into another scree field. We go down the scree field, and then there's no snow finally, and it's more of just like that are near us. And we go down this one waterfall, and I slip and fall down like roaded rock, and he catches me. And then finally, we're hiking at dark, and it's like 1 in the morning now. We finally get to the trail, and we finally do a 6 mile hike back to the car. I get back to the car, and instead of like going to sleep, we just put everything in. I turn on the car and I drive 6 hours back to Estes.
Did you that day? I don't think you
What's
were
that?
on time. Were you late that day to work?
I actually texted the supervisor. I texted her and I was like, "Hey, I think I need to sleep in a little bit. I might be late to work." And she was like, "Okay, but Vaughn, I will penalize you for this. I will write you up." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." I got back to Estes. I rested a little bit, and then I still got into work on time, and I still got written up for it. But a memorable experience, that's for sure. Absolutely amazing adventure for young, little stupid Sydney to do. I'm glad that I survived it. I'm glad that nobody got seriously injured. It could have definitely happened. Scott, it could have been in which I could have just continued sliding and sliding, and I could have stopped. Then I hit the scree field, and then I keep on rolling. Yeah. But pictures that I have of the experience and the memories that I have in my head are always going to be pretty special. Sure, they'll be a little bit altered, but yeah, I'm glad I did it. Saw my first mountain goat on that mountain, fairly certain.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Oh yeah.
So like what's the impact that you've like seen yourself over the years of like doing work, doing challenge, doing seasonal life, whether it's, to Breckenridge and learning to snowboard like a second job?
The impact that it had on me is special experiences that I've had that I don't think I would have gained if I did anything other than this type of seasonal work. And then I've also not only having these special experiences, but have gained a lot of good customer service and hospitality skills, in my opinion. I think that I've grown to be very good at socialization, and open-mindedness, and understanding of like quality interaction. Yeah. Never thought that I would have gotten the opportunity to rappel through canyons, walk through slot canyons, see what it's like to be in a lava tube in Zion, or via ferrata out of a 400-foot canyon, or snowboard, or ski, or kayak down the Virgin River, rafting, climbing with a guy named Scott, and what is it, Mary's Lake. I've gotten to multi-pitch in Zion. My biggest pitch was 10 pitches. You look down and you look at these cars below and you're like, holy cow. Yeah. Been able to crack climb and like sticking your hand into like the fit of a crack in the rock and feeling so much more secure than grabbing onto a hold. Oh, that is the feeling. That is the time right there. Yeah. I'm fortunate and happy to have been able to have this type of life of seasonal work and have broadened my horizons with all the different activities.
Do you the moment that you like realized you mentioned like hospitality and having what a quality interaction is? What
Mhm.
was the moment that you realized that?
Oh, that's a good question, Scott. I don't know if I can have a good answer for that. I think maybe I realized that I was becoming very skilled at my ability to interact with like-minded people or even strangers that I was working with at a quality level is when I was a zipline guide for a company out in the Smokies. And they're like after a year, I worked with them for a year, but maybe towards the end of the year, I got so good at my job I was able to come up with witty jokes to make the entire group laugh, to be able to remember 20 people's names after like the zip line, to be able to talk about the scenery and the history fluidly, and to efficiently go through a ziplining course in a timely manner and create memorable experiences for these people. I hope I did in a way that was just fun. And I think that's how I got really skilled at hospitality, a good socialization and communication skills. And where you like, let's see here, where you get really good at just like breaking ice in a fluid way. Yeah.
Real skill. Able to like build rapport like really with people. It's just is like that's a skill.
It can be what's amazing is it can be easy when you're doing something that can be kind of zones. When you're doing something that is like taking inputs of information and like activities once. It can kind of down walls for people. Yeah.
Noticed any other like impact to other people that you've seen as you've like gone to this, whether it's been zipline guiding, doing challenge course, or
Well, I'm sure I have, but I sadly don't like keep close contact with these people. The hard thing with seasonal work is you move on, and it can be a little difficult to continue to stay in touch with them. Maybe I could say like, case, yeah. After the Appalachian Trail, there's people in which I like in a trail family with and continued hiking with them that I kept in touch with after the trail that still are doing outdoor activities. Maybe have a career, but are still passionate about getting themselves to do maybe a section hike or a long ass section hike or go hiking to waterfalls. They still find themselves to be in the outdoors.
just for instance, you're doing a tour or you're Estes and you're like leading group, like what do you feel like the impact is of the activity on your guests, on the clients that come through?
I always think it's going to be a positive impact. I think that it does well for the guests and the clients, or even the employees. To most of the time, you see them smile, you see them laugh. It makes me think, oh, I'm positively impacting these people. Or depending on the activity, I may be engaging a different train of thought, a different way of thinking for these people. And yeah, hopefully it's a lasting positive impact.
Do you think that the impact is beyond just like a time? For some
Yeah,
people, maybe not everybody.
it probably is. Well, yeah, the situations in which, like, actually, I can think of a not so fun impact towards the end of a ziplining tour where guests had to get down from the towers in which we were ziplining from using a True Blue auto belay. And the entire tour, they were fine and having fun and enjoying ziplining. But this one section, getting down from the True Blue auto belay, traumatized them. We were stuck up there for 3 hours. And that had most likely a big impact in which they will probably never forget that experience because it affected them in such a traumatic way. They will remember the ziplining being a lot of fun, but they will remember, oh, I'm never going down a True Blue auto belay again. Or it could have been the other way around in which I did that. It wasn't that bad once I actually started being lowered down, but it's just the initial jumping off. It felt like I was going to free fall and hit the ground. But I think I could do that again, and I think I could get my fear of this a little bit less. Who knows? I'd never talk to them again. I will never see them again, but it could have done a good impact in their lives and had a good memory for them or a good story to share. Or it could have been something in which this isn't for me. And in that way, I think either way is a positive impact. You learn something new about yourself. Oh, I actually do not like this, and I will never do this again, and I know better. Or, oh, this is something that I can work on and improve upon. Or, oh, this is something that I love. I think that's a good thing to know, to discover about yourself. Did I hit the head on the nail? The
Yeah.
nail on the head
I
on that one?
I assume that this True Blue was a like the plank situation where they had to like scoot up the edge and then it would catch them and weren't
You
like
are
climbing
correct.
down.
So this is a platform with a fence around it and then a door that can open. And then the True Blue was attached to a cable and hanging on the outside of this gated door. So before opening the gated door, we attach the True Blue to the customer, double check that it's locked, and then attach another safety tether. We open the door, we guide the customer to the ledge, and we ask them, please step off. Two of these customers, these participants in the ziplining course, they fed off of each other in their fear. She's afraid. Oh, I'm afraid. I'll try. Oh, I'm afraid. She's afraid. They like literally fed off of each other and they could not do it. They would get to the edge and seize. It is a very fun place to work. But yeah, we were out there for, I think it was like 2 3 hours trying to hoax these two to just take the only method down is this True Blue. You can't climb down. This was the method of getting down. Eventually, we discovered if we pre-apply tension to the line, to the True Blue tether, that is attached to the customer's harness, it feels like they're being supported already. So if we apply a significant amount of pressure, it feels like they're being lifted up. So we guide them with this significant amount of pressure, and then right when they're about to step off, we let go. And it felt like they were continually being held on to. That snug feeling of this full body harness is what makes you feel comfortable. If you feel no pressure, then obviously you feel like, oh, I might just plummet. Yeah, it's the feeling and understanding that you have something tethered to you and secure to you that makes you be confident enough in doing this high risk activity. Yeah. So discovered doing that would help them get down, and they eventually got down and we were able to finish our day.
Let's move on to the rapid fire. Let's see if I can get some like decent
Let's
here.
do that.
I've been really inconsistent about it, so YOLO, here we go. Okay, the
Okay.
first one is favorite place that you've ever been.
Rocky Mountain National Park.
That was good. Do you have any places that you want to go right now?
New Zealand.
Do you have any trips planned at the moment?
Yosemite in June.
Sick, dude. Favorite meal to have on trail?
Oh gosh, give me a few minutes. Oh, okay. It's this smart no. What's the name of this bar? It's a protein bar that has like 250 calories. It's in a Cliff Bar, something bar. They have like superfruit and have s'mores. It might be pro meal or something like that.
Yeah, that probably is it. Pro meal.
Yeah,
That
that's to have on a trail.
Well, thanks for being on.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Scott. It's a good time. I'd love to continue to catch up and talk more. Yeah.
For sure, dude. Always more and to like catch up on whatnot. So with that, bid you adieu.